So you already coded a line or two of JavaScript, but what exactly is JavaScript actually? Well, that's what we're going to look at in this video. And so in this lecture, we will set the stage for the rest of the course. And so it's really important that you follow this one until the end. All right? So per definition, JavaScript is a lightweight, cross-platform, object-oriented computer programming language. Now that sounds a bit too much, right? But don't worry, it's simpler than what it sounds like. So lightweight just means that the language doesn't eat up much memory of the computer and that it has a relatively simple syntax and features. Cross-platform means that the language can be used on multiple platforms and systems, not just for web development. And finally, object-oriented means that it's a language that's based on objects. And we're going to explore all of that throughout the course. Now, as you already know, together with HTML and CSS, JavaScript is one of the three core technologies of web development. And more on that in a second. So for web development, JavaScript has traditionally only been used in the browser environment, which means that it was only a client-side language. However, more lately, thanks to a new technology called Node.js, developers are now able to actually use JavaScript on the server side as well. But that is a whole big topic for itself, and we will not cover that in this course. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this course covers the JavaScript language itself and how to use it in the browser, which is the more traditional way, okay? So in summary, JavaScript is what made modern web development possible. It allows us to not only add dynamic effects and interactivity to more simple websites, but it also allows us to develop complex modern web applications that we can interact with and that almost feel like the apps that we can use on our computers and phones every single day. Now, something else that I think is important to mention here is that today there are lots of JavaScript libraries and frameworks out there that implement different architectures and help developers build complex apps more easily and faster than ever. So I'm talking about stuff like React or Angular or even jQuery, which are all extremely popular, and I'm sure that you have heard of them already, right? Now the thing is, they are all 100% based on JavaScript, and so before using them, developers actually need to be really good at JavaScript. They need to be really able to understand the language itself. And that's exactly where this course wants to help you. So I mentioned that together with HTML and CSS, JavaScript is one of the core technologies of the web. And so let's go a bit deeper into that and talk about the role of JavaScript in web development. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all work together to create beautiful, interactive, and dynamic websites or web applications. Now, the HTML is responsible for the content of the page. So the text, the images, the buttons, and all the content that you see on a web page is always written in HTML. Then the CSS, of course, is responsible for the presentation of that content. So basically for styling and for laying out the elements on the web page. And then finally, JavaScript is the real programming language that allows developers to add dynamics into the picture, like interactive effects, manipulation of the content or of the CSS, and much, much more. So again, HTML is responsible for the content, CSS for the presentation, and JavaScript for adding real programming capabilities to websites. Now, another way to easily visualize the role of each technology is to put them in terms of nouns, adjectives, and verbs. So in this thought experiments, HTML does the nouns like saying that the P element is a paragraph. So paragraph here is the noun. The CSS then is the adjective because it describes the noun like saying the paragraph text is red. And so there is the adjective. And then finally, JavaScript is the verb, like saying hide the paragraph. And so we are doing something here, and so we have a verb. Okay, does that make sense? And so that is the role of JavaScript in web development. And now just before we finish, I want to quickly mention that there are different versions of the JavaScript language. But I'm not going to go into that right now, and instead, I'll leave that for the end of this section, okay? For now, I just want you to start coding as fast as possible. And so we're going to use a version called ES5 over the next couple of lectures. But again, at the end of this section, there's a whole very important video about this.